What's going on, everybody? My name's Orion Moquin, and this is your market update for what happened in February of 2023. So, as of recording, it is Friday, March 10th. So, we're going to look at last month's data, take a look at what happened locally. I'll go through the numbers, explain what it means, uh, put it in context, and then give you a few action items that if you're looking to buy or looking to sell, that you can take advantage of. And we updated our format a little bit from last time, but now we're going to look at state data, county data, and then check a few towns in Strafford County. The goal is to make sure we have a big enough sample size to give you an accurate picture. You'll see when I get into it that there's so few homes that have been sold in some of these towns that it's hard to really get a clear picture. But let's jump right in. Let's start with the state data. So, looking at February of 2023, here's what happened in the state of New Hampshire right here, if you look at the monthly snapshot. So we're down 19.6% in single family closed sales, meaning homes that actually sold. The sales price is up 4.9%. The sales volume, so if you add up the price of every home that's sold and total it out, it's down 19%, right? So this is just a continuation of what we've been seeing. Let's go down. There's a couple of things that I want to point out on this. So first, the days on market has ticked up to 42 on average for single family homes and 32 on average for condos. Then I want to show you affordability right here. So this is a huge one. To refresh your memory for affordability, the affordability index, if it was 100, would mean that a median household income is 100% of what's necessary to qualify for a mortgage for a median priced home at prevailing interest rates, right? The higher this number, the better for you because you can afford more. It's atrocious at the moment. It's 72, right? The lowest it's been on this chart is 68 in October, but 72 means if you make the median household income, you only qualify for 72% of what's necessary to buy the median priced home. So this is a continued struggle. We're going to take a look at county data now. I'm going to go through the numbers on the county. We just talked about the state. Go through Strafford County. I'll pick 2 or 3 towns to go over, and then I'll try and summarize for you. So just taking a look here, we see an exaggerated version of what we just looked at. Closed sales, so this is February of 2022 versus February of 2023, just that 1 month. These two are the year-to-date numbers at that point, right? So it includes January. So at this point, we're down almost 50% in closed sales. Half the number of homes have sold. Median sales price, median list price have both ticked up, modest amount. Volume of closed sales down 43%. Days on market, which I don't think I went over that, just really quick. Days on market is how long it takes before a contract is accepted, right? And that gets totaled out once the home closes. So let's say it's on the market for a week. They get an offer, they take it. That would be 7 days on market for that home. Pending sales ticked down a little bit. Month's supply of inventory ticked up slightly. New listings down. Inventory of homes for sale up slightly. Percentage of original list price received down a little bit right there. And then let's just take a quick look at, we'll do Rochester and Dover. So this is what I was talking about with not having a large enough sample size. In February of this year, only 8 homes sold in Rochester. So you might look at that, this a dramatic difference, right? We can take a look at this number and say, wow, that's crazy. But for median sales price, it's not representative anymore because when there's that few, there's those few homes that have sold, there could be several that are on the lower end of the price range that could be artificially modifying this number to look a lot lower. And I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. Just looking through, all the rest of this information, have to take it with a grain of salt to some extent. As a result of there being so few homes for sale, we can see that days on market tick down because when there's only a few options, people have to pick. We'll go take a look at Dover. Again, same story, right? Closed sales 15 in February of 22, 6 February 23, down 60%. Median list price, we're seeing it in the opposite direction here. I'm willing to bet if we go looked at those 6 homes that sold, there's several that are very expensive luxury properties because I can guarantee you that Dover did not appreciate 35% from February of 22 to 23. And we can just see on here, Higher inventory in February, 12 new listings versus 10 this time last year, 1.2 months supply of inventory, fewer pending sales. Look at one more. We'll do Farmington. Farmington's up 50% in terms of closed sales. But again, we're talking about 9 versus 6. So it's not, there's just so little happening right now in terms of sales. And here's another great example of it, how skewed it is. This number right here was probably artificially low. And I can tell you that this number is artificially high just from the number of sales and what the average looks like in Farmington, right? You can see it ticked up right here, which is probably indicative of some more expensive properties. They tend to sit a little bit longer. Um, Interesting. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back to the county data. Okay, so here's reading between the lines on all of this, and what my take is on it. This is like I said at the beginning, a continuation of what we've been seeing. There's a lot fewer people listing their homes for sale. There's also fewer buyers in the market. However, it's not a balance. It's not 5 sellers have left and 5 buyers have left. It's something like 10 sellers have left and 2 buyers have left. So it's still a tough spot to be in, right? The market is still in a exaggerated seller's market, right? And you can see that by looking at month supply of inventory right here. Month supply of inventory is describing if no new homes came to market, how long would it take for all the current homes to sell? Anything less than 6 months is considered a seller's market. We're not even at a month for the county. So you can see, jump 33%. We're talking about days, few days difference there because we're just talking about a month. So not a huge change there. Looking at days on market, ticking up 2 days. That's really inconsequential. I know 6.5% on here, but with this few homes for sale and this few homes selling, it's a very slow market. Like I said, not many people listing their homes for sale. There's fewer buyers out there. The combination of limited inventory and the effects of inflation are keeping prices sticky. I'm sure you've heard somebody running around crying chicken little, the sky is falling, that there's going to be a real estate crash. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I can see the future perfectly. What I will say is that these numbers are not surprising to me. Inflation makes prices more sticky, even if there's any sort of other shock to the system. And with this extremely limited inventory, it's just supply and demand at this point, even with mortgage rates being so elevated, which is a whole other part of the story. We're looking at mortgage rates in the 7% range. So that really limits the number of people that can afford to buy a home and can afford to buy a home at different price points, which leads me perfectly into how to take advantage of the current situation and what some great tips are for both sellers and buyers, right? So if you live in Strafford County, really anywhere in New Hampshire, but we're just talking about Strafford County here right now, and you're thinking about selling your home, the first thing that's going to determine how your experience is going to be is what price range your house is going to be at, which is largely a function of the market, right? But let's say your home, I'm going to split it up into just 2 categories, which is not quite enough nuance, but I think it'll show what I'm trying to say here. So first-time home buyer category, so below the median price, and then anything above the median price, right? So if you're looking below the median price right now, if that's where your home's going to land, less than $400,000, what you really need to consider is that there are going to be probably multiple offers on your property if everything is done right. But you can't just throw it at the wall anymore. You need high quality photography, 3D tour, videos at a minimum. All these things need to be done. With that, you also need to expect that a lot of these offers are going to have home inspections attached to them. We're not seeing people drop them completely like they were the past couple of years. There will still be some for sure, but not nearly to the level we were seeing it. With that, you want to think about what items on your home need to be taken care of that you either were on your home inspection when you bought it, or have your agent come through, whether it's me or someone else, and go take a quick look through. You can even have your home pre-inspected, which is a service that I offer a lot of my clients because it's very, very valuable. So we can address those problems before it comes time for another inspector to go through and say, well, this is wrong, etc. But the moral of the story here is If you're selling your home, it's going to be in the first time home buyer category. You're in a very strong position. There's just more you have to do to take advantage of it than this time last year. Now, let's say your home is in a higher price category, median price or above, we'll say, so 400,000 or above. You're going to need to get several things very, very right in order to have a good experience. Number one is marketing, right? I just touched on it briefly, but as far as I'm concerned, in 2023, every home should have high quality photography, a 3D virtual tour, probably multiple of them, digital floor plans posted with the listing so people can take a look at that, and multiple videos advertising the property. It's, think about any other product you buy, any other thing that you purchase. Video is where you see all the marketing. So that's really something you need to consider. And ask your agent what they provide and make them go in detail. Just posting it to a Facebook page, that's not enough at this point. So marketing is number one. Number two is making sure you get your pricing right. What this means is trying as best as you can to take the emotional portion out of it and look at what the comparable sales look like when your agent's presenting them to you. If you try and say, well, I want to start at a higher price and then have room to be negotiated with, it just pretty much never works the way you want it to. You're going to have fewer buyers that come take a look because fewer people can even afford to at asking price, right? They wouldn't be able to afford it, even if that wasn't necessarily what you were looking to get, especially with where interest rates are at this point. So the property needs to be priced correctly. And then lastly, you need to make sure that there's no outstanding obvious things that need to be taken care of, right? People are expecting a certain level of quality at that price point. So you need to go through, take a look through, and maybe some money needs to be spent up front, right? There may be some changes that need to be made. But if it's something that's going to directly translate into a better sale experience, it may be worth it. And that's a conversation you should have with your agent. Now, let's talk about what this data means for if you're looking to buy. Unfortunately, if you're a first-time home buyer, you're still going to be in a tough position, right? It really hasn't gotten any easier. From this time last year, it's actually harder. There's still going to be a lot of competition on those first-time home buyer homes. And I mean, I went over it pretty well, I think, throughout the presentation here, but what you can do to make things easier for yourself. Number one, if you're thinking about buying, have the conversation with your agent as soon and as early as possible. I'm more than happy to sit down with people, even if they're planning on buying a year from now, to make sure we have all our ducks in a row, taking advantage of every possible program to give you, every advantage humanly possible, right? Because there are things that you can do that far in advance to set yourself up for success. Part of that is making sure you set your expectations properly and look at a first time home for what it really is. People really don't buy with their first home in this day and age, anyways, or I should say my generation. We're not buying our first home as our forever home. It's a stepping stone. I really have rarely met someone who's sitting in a $500,000-$600,000 home where that was their first home purchase, unless they bought it 35 years ago, right? So as a first-time home buyer, having those expectations, getting educated early on in the process, really my best advice for you at that point. If you're looking at or above the median price, here's what you can expect. You might actually have a little bit more wiggle room than you would expect because there's fewer buyers, there's fewer people who can afford those homes. And as a result, you may be able to get an item fixed on a home inspection, for example, or ask for some closing costs assistance, just to, even if you don't necessarily need it, but a lot of times it's better to have the cash on hand. So in the higher end, you might have a little bit of an easier experience, right? At or above the median. So I think that pretty much sums up what's going on in the market, some context for it, and what my best advice to you is of how to take advantage of it. If you have questions, if you have critiques of this, please send me a message, leave a comment, whatever's easier for you. And if you're thinking about buying or selling anytime, even remotely soon, reach out. Let's have a conversation. I'm here as an educator. I want to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into and exactly what to expect, because having the right expectations in this market is really everything. But that's all I have for today. I'll be back next month with another market update video. Thank you so much for watching and take care.